Surviving is the same thing as winning. By Please Dial 123. Chapter 9. Fallout and Consent. Yo! Kakashi smiled, appearing in a swirl of leaves. Kakashi-sensei! Naruto beamed, throwing himself at him. Kakashi caught the kid spinning with the hug and quickly found Sakura joining, grabbing him around the waist in a hug. Sasuke didn't join the hug, but hovered close enough to be touching until Kakashi reached out and ruffled his hair. Where were you? Genma-sensei said you were busy, so he was teaching us today, and Pakuin-sensei said he worked with the Yondame. He was taught us how the Yondame used seals to appear in a flash, like halfway across the country, Naruto babbled. He said I wasn't to train with Guy-sensei this morning, Sakura said a lot more quietly just for their ears, and he didn't let us out of his sight. There's also someone watching, Sasuke said even quieter. I think it's one of the masked guys, Naruto added in a louder whisper. Good observations. Kakashi smiled at all of them. Yes, I was busy, so Genma volunteered to help out. I see Guy came to you anyway, despite not getting to help you this morning. Kakashi looked over their heads and waved at Guy, who beamed at him from where he was guiding Tenten through a kata while Neji and Lee sparred tightly on the river. Genma was watching from his seat on a log, spinning a senbon through his fingers and not looking at all upset by the fact his kids had ditched him the second Kakashi appeared. He came to train us, Sakura said. We did some taijutsu sparring this morning, and then they've just been sharing the training ground. Naruto keeps muttering about Neji spying on him, but I think Guy-sensei was worried. Kakashi smiled faintly and gave Guy a quick warm look. Did you enjoy Genma's training? Kakashi asked. Yeah! Naruto beams. He knows some awesome seals. He's really good with senbon, Sakura said. Like as good as Haku was. Probably even better. He worked with Uchiha, Sasuke said. He knows some of our kata. Genma is a good shinobi, Kakashi agreed. That was an underwhelming statement when talking about Shiranui Genma, the man who had been Guy's Genin teammate and who had been in Anbu as long as Kakashi, even longer at this point it was most likely, and who had worked exclusively with the Yondame as a guard, was a masterful shinobi. The only reason his name wasn't as widespread or as feared as Kakashi's was because he worked in the shadows. He never needed to be a showy threat, and instead excelled as an assassin and guard who stayed in the shadows. How about you three do some cooldown exercises? Kakashi said. Then we can go get dinner. Barbecue sound good? They all brightened. Go tell Guy he and his team are invited as well, Kakashi added. Sakura ran off to tell them as Naruto and Sasuke dropped into stretches, slightly squabbling as Naruto kicked at Sasuke's ankle on accident. Guy's students joined them in some cool-down exercises as Guy and Genma joined Kakashi just out of hearing range of the kids. Everything sorted? Genma asked lightly. For now, Kakashi sighed. There was a disagreement about how much training Jiraiya would be giving Naruto. That was saying it lightly. Jiraiya had predictably thrown a shit fit when Kakashi said he wasn't to see Naruto anymore. Kakashi, Umino, Jiraiya, and the Hokage had spent most of the morning and afternoon locked in his office trapped in arguments. Having Umino at his back had been a master play, and the Hokage had been quite reasonable, even with all his favorites squabbling like children. Kakashi was not ashamed to say he had been driven to snarling a few times, yelling even once or twice. He cared about Team 7, and he was not ashamed to show it. They would always have him at their back. Despite the fact Kakashi wanted Jiraiya far away from his kids, he had not gotten it. Jiraiya was too important and had too many ties to Naruto for him to just disappear. Kakashi had gotten the Hokage to agree he would not be allowed to teach Naruto alone, though. Not just because of the perving, but because of how much claim Kakashi had as well. The fact that Naruto was happy where he was also a huge boon, and if that ever changed, Kakashi knew he would be under review as a sensei. If Naruto needs any sealing lessons, Genma said, I am not the level of Jiraiya, but I hold my own. Kakashi glanced at the man and found the offer genuine. That would be helpful, Kakashi nodded. If you're up to it. Jiraiya will be helping Naruto with sealing a few days a week, but if you could join them, I'd be happy to. I'll take it the few days Jiraiya doesn't as well. He's a quick kid. Genma nodded. I also have a few tips for him with that sickle and chain he likes. I can't do it every day, but the majority should be good. He said you guys have different plans on the weekend, so that works as well. Kakashi released a breath and gave Genma a grateful nod. If Jiraiya is agreeable, then would like more lessons on sealing as well, Guy said at a reasonable level for once. If you don't mind this one, Gamma, then good tag along. As another pair of eyes went unsaid. I'm fine with it. Even if Ryan doesn't want a teacher, I can keep her busy. Genma nodded. Wonderful! Off and win! I beamed. Thank you, Kakashi told his eternal rival. Some of the tension of the day bled off of him. So many people helping out, taking his side was inspiring, to be honest. Kakashi hadn't always been the best with retaining bonds with other shinobi. Most of the bonds were built on respect and the fact Kakashi was a powerful and unquestionable loyal shinobi. To see that those bonds weren't just superficial respects paid to a higher-ranking shinobi was gratifying. Unknown to Kakashi was the fact that taking a team had changed many people's opinions of it. Despite the fact Team 7 wasn't often out and about in the public eye, many people had heard of the fact that Hatake Kakashi was dedicating his every waking moment and all his resources into his team, and equally not favoring the last Uchiha or the QB Jinchuriki over the civilian-born girl. How people treated kids and students spoke a lot about them, and people who had thought Kakashi would be a garbage teacher were looking at him in a new light. Kakashi was proving himself over and over every day he had this team that he was still powerful, loyal, and most of all, caring of the shinobi in this village. We're done, Sensei! Naruto yelled. Let's go get some food then. Kakashi smiled. Okay, kids, serious talk time, Kakashi said. His students, taking that as a sign for a break, collapsed at his feet. They all rolled in the grass to peer up at him, and Kakashi felt something sad in him as he realized he was giving this talk to a bunch of kids. At the same time, there was no better time to educate them. Now, you remember the talk we had the first week in the forest about sex? All the kids blushed, looking anywhere but each other, and he chuckled. His cute little students had been so red they nearly passed out when he gave them the sex talk. He had covered more than the academy would, going into dangers and diseases and problems, but he had also went into attraction and flings and how sex was okay. It was okay to want it, to seek it out. You just had to be careful. There were too many conservatives and oldies on the education board, and as such the academy had only given basic safety talks about all the technicalities of sex and the dangers of rape. His kids had never heard anyone tell them that sex was okay, that it was natural, that they just had to be safe first and foremost. It had embarrassed them all enough that even Sakura had stopped making eyes at Sasuke. Not that she had been doing that often from simply lack of energy, seeing as he ran them into the ground. The fact that they were getting closer and closer as a team had also made Sakura realize that she wasn't in love with Sasuke. Not yet, at least. She'd had a kitty crush on him, and a smart girl like Sakura knew not to let that get in the way of teamwork or training. Maybe she still harbored that crush, maybe she didn't, but it didn't come up anymore. Please, not again! Naruto moaned. I only gave you half the talk last time. Kakashi clicked his tongue. And now that we're back amongst real people, we need to finish it. What more could there even be? Sakura tried desperately. We're going to talk about consent, Kakashi said seriously. They peered at him warily. Sakura looked a little more interested, darting a glance at Naruto. Naruto, if a girl tells you no when you ask her out on a date, what do you do? Try again later, he said. I mean, not that day, but maybe another day when she's in a better mood. No, Kakashi said firmly. You leave her alone. She gave her answer. The kids stared at him, all shocked in their own way. But my mom says you have to keep trying to show that you really do like them, Sakura says meekly. No, Kakashi said sharply. What you are doing after that no is called harassment. How did you feel every time you turned Naruto down and he came back? Annoyed, she said softly as she looked at the ground. And you, Sasuke? Every time Sakura kept hanging off you even though you turned her down? Annoyed, Sasuke repeated, none of his usually sharpness in his voice. All his kids were looking at the ground. As kids, it's a bit more forgivable. You don't know how you are supposed to act, he said. But you are all in need now, adults in the eyes of the law. Sakura, if a stranger came up to you and asked you out and you said no very politely, but he kept showing up and asking, would you feel good? Would you feel like he was just being determined, just trying to prove his love? Or would you feel afraid? Sakura swallowed, looking at her feet. Naruto, if you had girls following you every day, fighting over who got sat next to you, trying to follow you home or drag you to a date, would you feel happy? Naruto considered it. Kakashi could see the way he mulled the question, saw the way his eyes darted to Sasuke, and imagined the girls who had done that to him. "No," he said quietly. "Sasuke, would you feel respected if a girl who said she loved you would not leave you alone? If you told her no, and she just ignored you, and asked again and again and again?" "No," Sasuke said sharply, almost angrily. "You are allowed to ask people out. You are allowed to ask them to kiss you, to hold hands with them. Hell, you can even hit on them for sex as long as you are polite, but if they say no, they mean it. No means no." His kids all nodded, peering up at him, as if to see if he was disappointed or angry. "I want you to understand that now," Kakashi said. "You must respect other people's choices and your own. Your choice and your body belong to you. No one has a right to it but you. You can sleep with whoever you like, and say no to whoever you like. It is your decision and requires no defense, no explanation. I don't care if it's strangers, friends, teachers. You have a right to say no. Do you understand?" His kids thought it over, and he was proud of them for actually thinking about it and not immediately giving an answer he wanted to hear. "Yeah," Naruto said first. "No means no, and I'm allowed to say no." "Yes," Sakura said in a small voice. I'm sorry, Sasuke." "It's okay," Sasuke said lowly. "I'm sorry too," Naruto said, looking miserable as he looked at Sakura's feet. "It's okay," she said with a weak smile. "Good," Kakashi said, leaning over to ruffle hair. "You know, if you have any questions, you come to me. And if you have anyone disrespect or no, you come straight to me as well." They all nodded, and Kakashi smiled warmly before he got them running laps. They were silent as they obeyed, and he was glad to see they were mulling over his talk. Ninja weren't often talked to straight about consent, and there were moments in their career they would be ordered to do things they wanted to say no to but couldn't. But he was going to make sure that outside of their missions, outside of being soldiers, they would damn well be responsible and happy.